The world's most expensive place to own a car. That's the title given to Singapore as COEs continue to be driven upwards. Prices hit 106,000 for smaller cars in Category A in October and breached the 150,000 mark for bigger cars in Category B. Just 3 years back, those numbers would have been around 37,000 for a smaller car and just under 41,000 for a larger car. At this price point, the first decision to make is how much you really need a car.
At the rate that it's going now, you are potentially looking at upside of more than $1,000 a month that will go towards that car loan. On top of that, you need to take care of petrol. And then we have insurance, road tax, ERP, your regular servicing, and even all the way down to car washing. But I also understand there are some special cases where having a car is definitely going to do the family a lot more favor. It's going to help them get around easier and to go on with their daily tasks.
As prices soar, more people are finding value in used cars. Over 20,000 new cars were registered between January and September. In the same time period, more than 72,000 cars were transferred to new owners.
Yes, we do see better demand for used car this year compared to last year.
At used car marketplace Caro, it used to take 35 days to sell a car. Today, cars move within 14 days.
In today's new car market, I think consumers are priced out slightly. So most consumers would still be looking at used cars for affordability.
If you were to buy a brand new entry-range Japanese or Korean car, it might set you back about $165,000. That works out to a down payment of $50,000 and monthly installments of $1,600 over 7 years. But if you were to get a 2-year-old version of a similar car, you'd pay around $110,000. That's $33,000 upfront and $1,100 in installments monthly over 7 years. You could lease a similar car for about $2,200 a month over 2 years without having to deal with costs like road tax and interest. But experts say it could end up being more costly over the long term.
So when it comes to car leasing, we've seen interest increase primarily in the private hire vehicle sector, but we don't see much increase in interest from consumers. That's because if you look at the math, the monthly payments for a lease are way more expensive than a regular car purchase installment. And taking into account that I think for most cars, if you do a 3-year lease, you have paid off close to 50% of the car. So doing the math doesn't make sense for most consumers.
If your budget is smaller, you can also look for older cars that have already had their COE renewed previously. These can cost anywhere from $20,000 to just under $100,000, depending on the make.
So those cars like 11 years old, 12 years old, which they have about 2 to 3 years to go in their renewed COE for 5 years. Based on statistics and the market trend, COE should trend down from 2024 onwards to 2027. So if you have a car that's 2 years old, with 2 to 3 years to go now, so by 2025 or so, the COE prices do come down. By how much nobody can guess. But if they do come down, then it's a good time for you to enter the market for a new car or even renew COE of your current ride.
When buying a used car, you'll have to do your due diligence. This includes bringing the car to a trusted workshop to ensure that it is in good condition and ensuring you have the car's service records. In this market, some car owners are choosing to cash out. Take, for example, somebody who bought a new BMW for about $150,000 in 2020. Today, the same car is worth just below $200,000 because of the rise in COE.
So you would have driven for 3 years for free and gotten extra $30,000. Yeah, so definitely we see that there are people who come here to sell their car with no interest to buy another car. Separately from that, we've also seen people come to us to sell 2 cars to buy a car or cash out a slightly larger car for a smaller car.
And if you've decided now is not the time to splash out on a car, waiting the cycle out is a valid alternative. Experts expect COE prices to come down by the end of next year, based on the 10-year cycle in supply, though right now, the $150,000 question is, by how much?
But if you're waiting for COE to be $50,000 or $60,000, I seriously think it's not going to happen. The new norm for COE should be between $80,000 to $90,000. But at this point in time, when COE prices are $140,000, $150,000, you can never imagine it going back to below $100,000 at this point in time.
Until then, a more economical option would be car sharing.
Yeah, I think it is getting more and more popular because you are able to enjoy the joy of driving without having to commit a huge amount by owning one. And number two is also to see whether will I actually use the car frequently. Maybe after a while you realize that you don't really particularly like driving, and you just decide that maybe not buying a car is a better option since most of the time you're not using it.